Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, your host, Jason from KRD. Today, what are we talking about? We are talking about the Kaleido paints. So, many of you know that watch this channel. I like to fall down rabbit holes. I like to do stuff that is per my vision of how I would like to see it created. And that especially goes for colors and tones. So, what we're working on today is we're testing out some mixtures. I figured these little tractors are just, they're awesome little kits to experiment, especially with paints, colors, clears, whatever. They're just great tools in my opinion, and they turn out super cool. So what I want to do is, I'm going with a gold body on this thing, but I want the accent of a black chassis, but I want to have it be pearlized with a little bit of gold. So we're going to try and mix these Kaleido paints and see what they do. I've shot these Kaleido paints straight out of the bottle. I've shot them with a couple drops of retarder like everybody else and their brother has talked about. But we're going to try and mix them the way I would mix like some auto body paints. One thing I will say for these Kaleido paints is they have a real strong pigment to them. So we're going to give this a shot. This will be basically my first video kind of describing some of the experiences with the Kaleido paints. I've used them on other things, especially the metal colors. And I do have concerns, but also with any paint you should have concerns. So let's get into mixing this thing and we'll get right into this video and we'll show you what airbrush we're going to use to spray this chassis. Be right back. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we've got all our products that we're going to use for the shooting of this chassis. I've got a little measuring cup that I like to take and put a marker on. They do have the lines on there, but we're not going to mix that much paint. I have the colors that we're going to be primarily working with for this project. I have a silver in the background in case I need to brighten it up a little bit, but this will come into play for the body color that we're looking to mix with this gold. So this is the only gold that is kind of in the tones that I'm looking at, and this is what they're in their metal line. This is their flashy gold, and then this here is the black. This is the cosmic black, and it's kind of like a pearlized black. So we're going to have predominantly this black, and we're going to add a little bit of this gold into the black to try and tint some gold flake into the black. Of course, we have our thinner and we have our bottle of retarder. So let's go ahead and get this stuff mixed in here. This is going to be kind of interesting to see how this stuff goes with mixing it like this. Like I said, we're going to barely add any gold. We want this to be predominantly black. So we're just going to put a couple drops of black in there. Or I mean gold, my bad. So we're going to put a couple drops. We'll spread them out here. Let's put 3 drops in there. We'll mix that first, see how that looks. Make sure you shake these up really well, especially anything with the metal flake in it, because it does settle to the bottom. Okay, I did. So make sure when you open these bottles that you leave the outer ring on this seal for the cap, because otherwise they will leak like a sieve, especially on these larger bottles. I know Craig Woods kind of figured that out, and maybe even Bruce. So we're going to put a couple drops of I'm just kind of letting it trickle out here. Probably going to do like 6 drops of this reducer. And then we're going to put the thinner in there. and we're up to our second line with thinner. So now that we've got this little Maltail cocktail, we're gonna mix it up here with a stick, and we're gonna see what our gold flake kind of looks like. Like I said, we're trying to create like a black pearl. So far, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing here in a wet mode. Sometimes you have to spray it to see what it does when it dries on how that tint looks. The other thing here that I like to look for is I like to drag up and see how my mixture is and how fast the air bubbles go back down, and I'm liking that. So we're about 50-50. So we're 50% paint and we're 50% combination of thinner and reducer, or retarder. They're retarder. So basically that's what a reducer is. So let's move this camera over to the paint booth and we're going to spray that chassis. Be right back. Alrighty, we're over at the paint booth. Sorry for the noise, but the paint booth's running. We're going to be using the GHAC 98 gallery airbrush. I use this thing for like a lot of chassis stuff, motor parts, stuff of that nature. I try to keep certain brushes for certain things. You don't need to do that, but that's just something that I do. I keep my brushes separate from my acrylics versus my solvent-based paints for the ones that I use on bodies. But for this brush here, I just use on anything. So for this, we're going to just use this. I run solvent through this. I ran acrylics through this. My go-to for the most part is, believe it or not, the GHAD 39. That is a remarkable brush. Very affordable brush and works tremendously well. So we're going to use this one here. We've got the 0.5 needle in there. Let's get our paint in the gun. Let's pour this guy in there. Some guys will use the pipettes to do this. We're not going to do that. We're just going to pour it all in there, and we're gonna let her buck. So we'll do a little test here. I like the way that fan is. I like that. So let's start with the bottom. Hope you can see that. I'm going to take some nice even strokes here. Like I said, this stuff covers remarkably well. Very happy with how this Kaleido stuff covers. Now I'm doing short little bursts here around the top part of this cage because really when you're doing these chassis, you're shooting more paint into the air than you are getting on the body or on the chassis for that matter. So we're trying to follow the lines of the chassis. We're gonna go to the front here, get this top side, and then try and get inside that cage, which can be kind of tricky. A lot of people have asked me how I go about painting my cages and stuff, and this is what I figured would be a great 2-in-1, 3-in-1 kind of coverage here, is showing you how I get around some of these roll bars, and then also mixing this type of paint. What it's kind of doing, we're using a 50-50 mix basically between the thinner and the retarder versus what we have for actual paint products. This is kind of like how you would mix it in automotive standards. This is looking really good. I don't know if you can see that. I'm really happy with that. We used a flat Duplicolor filler primer a little bit because of this is a 3D printed chassis. So I'm going to kind of let this flash here for a little bit. It's not necessary as much as you would with a solvent, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds and we'll come back and give it another coat. Be right back. Alrighty, so we are back. We're going to give these sides a little bit of a coat. It's looking really good. It's got a nice Nice little gold hue to that black. Like I said, this is that cosmic black to start with, and then we have added a little bit of that flashy gold in it. Put like 3 drops in this mix. It's looking really good. I'm digging it. So we kind of went over the sides a little bit for any other overspray when we were kind of doing the inside details of the bars. I'm liking what that's looking like right there. Really digging that. So I don't know that you can necessarily see the hue of gold that is in that black. It may not be picking up on the camera, but it looks good. I'm very happy. So let's get this thing put in the oven and let this dry for a little bit, and then you can stop listening to this paint booth and we'll discuss what our next steps are. Be right back. Alrighty, so welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. It's hard. I got to get some way of holding the camera. I literally had a stool right there, and it sucks working around the camera to paint this, but I'm very happy with it. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up, but there's a slight goldish hue of pearl that reflects off of the bars in the chassis. So I would say this is a huge success. This is exactly what I was looking to do. So mixing the colors works phenomenally well with this Kaleido paint. And like I said, we went 50% paint in our mix, and then we have a mixture of retarder and thinner at 50%. So there's like 6 drops of the retarder to the 50% of the thinner, and we did that, and this stuff sprayed beautifully. It's extremely laying down flat, tucked in all the cracks and crevices of this chassis. This is perfect. So I'm gonna let this thing cure up. It's dry to the touch already. I'm gonna let it cure up for, I'd say, I'm gonna give it 10 hours, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna put a clear on it. I'm kind of contemplating now, because I like the way this looks. I might go with a matte varnish, but I think I'm gonna go with a gloss varnish, and we are going to get the body prepped now for gold. Being that I got this hue of a tint of a hue on there, now I know what type of tone I want in my gold. So I'm not going to spray this straight out of the bottle as far as that color. I'm going to try and brighten this up. So we're going to mix this paint here, and we're going to try and brighten it up and make it a little bit of a brighter gold to fit my vision here. And then we're going to tape off the body here and get this base laid down, get the base gold laid down before we do the other colors on the body shell. But this here was a huge success. We'll get this thing, probably do a gloss varnish on it, and then from there we will do the drive shaft. You know, we got some brush painting here. We got the rear end stubs and a few odds and ends that we'll paint with a brush, and we're gonna go from there. But this is a win for me on the Kaleido paint. Now, let's talk about a couple things that I found to be a little bit on the negative side. And to me, it's more packaging, okay? One thing I will tell you, that even though they claim this is odorless and all that stuff, still wear a mask. Now, I didn't wear a mask there for the shot of this. We were shooting minimal, and I had the fan on high to drag out as much as possible. Generally, I'll run my fan about mid-speed just because I don't want to drag a bunch of air across my bodies and have the potential of pulling any kind of lint or dust off of me into the paint, meaning that the booth is creating a negative. But for this, I still would wear a mask. So when I painted some of my engine parts, I still wear my mask. This stuff is still can be damaging to your lungs. You don't want to breathe any kind of paint in. I don't like breathing any of this stuff in, so I just take extra precautions. So I would definitely do that. I know a lot of people say, hey, it doesn't stink, you can paint it in the house. That's fine, but with that being said, still use your proper PPE. Just gonna say that. Other thing that I've had issues with. And these bottles are great, but I've had it where this little cap insert here was not all the way in. Right there, it's all the way in. And basically this cap will stop on that. So if these things are not all the way in and then they're just lightly screwing these down, they leak. So make sure that you tighten these things up to where it's compressed that piece all the way in there. Your cap should bottom out before you start shaking these things up. Always remember to shake these things good. Anything with a metallic color, that stuff settles to the bottom. The nice thing about these little bottles, they all have BBs in them already, and so they mix remarkably well. The other thing is, and Craig from Craig's Corner had brought that up, on these larger bottles, you need to cut the center out and don't come over here and pull the tab and pull the whole thing off, because this cap will not seal and it will leak out these threads and you'll have a mess everywhere. The other problem that I have with their bottle is the cap itself. If you look, this outlet hole is dead center in the circumference of that, right? So when it comes to squirting or pouring, you're going to get like a surgy, juggy, hard to control, versus the competitor stuff. Now I use this Createx line as well, but now this is their brush cleaner. But you see how that hole is offset on this bottle? It helps with how it transfers the air as you're shooting the stuff out. You can control this as you're squirting it into a cup or squirting it into your brush. Where the hole is dead center on this, you have a little bit of like gurgle, you know, like a surge, and you can end up making more of a mess. So that's minor, but I'm just saying, as far as trying to keep things clean and organized and not waste product, that's huge. I think from here going forward, I'm not a big fan of their top. I'm probably going to use a pipette like I would with my leveling thinner, that the Mr. Hobby that I use in the solvent paints. I'll probably do the same with this retarder and any of their other big bottles. But just remember to cut the center out. Don't peel the whole label out, otherwise it will leak in between the threads. Other than that, I'm ecstatic with the product. The product is really good. Like I said earlier in this video, that the pigment content in this paint is very good. It is remarkably good. So I know a lot of folks are just taking this and they're pouring it into the cups of their airbrush, and a few of them are probably putting a few drops of the retarder in there, and that's fine and dandy. But it's not necessary. Your paint is going to go a lot further if you're going to do like what we did here and mix it and reduce it down. The pigment is that strong in this paint. So it's remarkable. Like I said, I'm very pleased with how this thing turned out. You can see that goldish hue in this thing. So I'm really, really excited to get the gloss varnish on here to see how this thing reflects. But it's definitely gave me the idea and the path on how we're going to mix this gold for the body shell. And so we're going to have a beautiful black chassis with a slight gold hue to it and a nice gold body that we will have some graphics on, and with our stickers that we've selected. And it's going to be a beautiful little tractor. So with that in point, we're going to try, this is the aluminum and the silver. We have the motor already in primer. We're going to shoot this on there next, and then we're going to shoot a little bit of the silver on there to kind of separate it, and then we'll do some brush painting on the motor. I think the motor is going to look choice, and then this is going to be the color that we're going to mix with the gold to try and brighten up our gold versus what that is. I want it to be a little bit lighter of a tone. So but that's going to do it, I think. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any questions, please hit me up. Again, go over, check out Gallery's website. They're a proud sponsor of this channel. Pretty much, I think everybody that's on the AMC Live show is affiliated with Gallery. The live show is affiliated with Gallery, and use any one of the discount codes. That'd be awesome. Whether you use mine, Joe's, Bruce's, Paul's, the AMC show, doesn't matter. Just save yourself some money and know that this has been a very good, successful test for me. Like I said, I like my solvent paints. I like my enamels. I like my enamels better than I like my lacquers. And then I like my urethanes as well. So the acrylic has been a great addition to the automotive line. You're seeing some water-based stuff there, and you're also seeing this hugely in the model world, and that is remarkable. So again, it's nothing new. I know a lot of you guys use the craft paints, the folk arts and the Americanas and stuff like that, and that's all good products as well. You just have to take the patience and think things through and spray it down, and it works really good. Oh, in case people are wondering, because this is like a topic of debate, when it comes to air pressure, you find the air pressure that works best for you. For me, I generally shoot everything at 30 psi. That's just me. Now, there's a lot of people that probably would get on here and want to have a arguing match or whatever about, oh yeah, that's too much, you should be at 18, you should. Look, that's just a number. It all depends on your distance, how you're pulling it, how fast you're going across your product, your paint, whatever. So you find what works best from you, and then you write that number down, and that will be your base point. So try it at 20, try it at 25, try it at 30, 35. I've shot stuff as high as 40 psi in this garage. That's why I do not have a hobby air compressor. I don't like those things anymore because, one, you don't have a consistent air pressure. With a tank, I have consistent pressure, and I feel that I have better consistency and control. But that's just me. You don't have to do it that way. Just saying. But people always ask the questions. To me, there is no secret magic number of air pressure or whatnot. You got to find what works for you. And like I said, I showed you that I take the stick and I drag the paint up after I mixed it. If I wouldn't have liked it, I would have threw a little more reducer at it. So anyhow, let's get the heck out of here. We got some more painting to do. You got some painting to do. Hopefully you're getting some building done, and we'll see you on the next one. That's it for my Saturday update. Peace out, everybody.